This day 803 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor a share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact directly. It'd be very greatly appreciated. Everything is Simon Tafkul base, seafood base to your Ches. Davar Yadua to your base. Davar Yadua Shezesh Mutu Ata Yitzim B'Yontav having Mishum She Neisharim Asaka. The reason allowed to carry wood on Shabbos because it's suitable to make a fuel for fire. Please 18 Machim Shemrim Masaka, so that's the case moist wood, which is not suitable for fuel. A certain tilto they should be for they are forbidden to carry the muktzim name. You don't support a pot with a chunk of wood, nor the door. In other words, to support the pot that's on the floor, or the door with a moist block of wood. Also, it's been a few mandalays muktzah. Even those who don't hold the muktzah, they can see they certainly hold their muktzah by sticks and stones. Which if it's dry and suitable for fuel, with the sauce you can do anything you want with it. Came with chain muktzah because muktzah came plus a tour ayin sham that tour passes that way. You give my Rama because I bear down ain't saying like there show to the out 18 on the sucker levad. Rama says you don't support the pot because they only allowed carrying wood on the yontif for the purpose of fuel. The Canaan Barif says the same thing. You see, that's the language of the Brisa. But as far as more, the logic is astonishing. That since it's suitable for this yontif, how can we say it's mukta? Shana Brisa saying right. If the language of the Brisa is no evidence. Shana official need no eitim asaka. There they said because wood was only given for fuel. Okay, Perusho. This means the came lo need no asaka. It's only given for fuel. We made the lachem shenui asaka. Certain batilto. Most ones which are not suitable for the fuel are also to move. So it's not definitive evidence like for the Rambam. For Rambam, the logic of the Rif and Rambam nearly the reason why Chachamim forbade to carrying wood if it's not for the purpose of fuel, because that's not if were they not to forbid it. People would start taking all sorts of rocks and all sorts of wood for all sorts of usages. I was in training last week, even though they're not suitable for fuel. The Yisrael saying, which is given over to the masses of Israel, you can't explain to all of them. This one's minib, this one's forbidden. They were compelled to put a fence on the road. The raka muteris, but only for fuel may move the wood below the raka for another purpose. Yudav, you're only the machlokes between Rambam and Toibus, so you say Gemara Sham. The machlokes between the Rambam whether wood is muktzah or not for any other use on the fuel has to do with the the Gemara. The Sham says the Chazara Chizra, actually with an alpha at the end. Nachman Aser or Nachman forbade, Rav Sheshes and Rav Sheshes permitted. Klomar, meaning enough eighths, a branch of wood, shu chad kekot, which is sharp like a thorn. But really, took a bitzli, and you can stick it into a roast, kamin shpu like a skewer, litzlabo, and roast with it. Yeshua Marshnei Lashonos, the two versions anymore. Achad the balach gamra sheshes so sarah plebiyavich. One is that by if it's a moist stick, Rav Sheshes also forbids you to use a stick. Whether you can use a dry stick. Loshen Sheni, and the second Loshen is the B'Yavich Kamra Nacham Matir. That the Nachman also permits for sure by a dry stick, but they argue by a moist stick. The time Matir, and the reason the Nachman Matir, the reason of Sheshes would be Matir by Lach is since it's suitable for fuel if you have a very hot fire. The Shas paskins if it's dry, it's okay. If it's moist, it's not okay. Ayin Sham. The Sober to the Turos, if he must go according to conclusion, this is true for all usages. The Blach Aser, moist is forbidden. Yavish Mutter, dry is permitted. Ram so without Yavish Litiru, Ram holds that even with dry, they did not permit El Asos Kamin Shmuli Tzlosbo, Shazo Shachla Ochel Nefesh. Only permitted making a skewer because that's relevant to Ochel Nefesh. Okay, Basa Peg Beis Ayin Sham. Have a shard von Litiru, but anything else did not permit with the wood. Raya, and the evidence is Milopli Rak Bezeh, since they only argue about this specific case with the skewer, but Must be that everybody agrees that for any other purpose, even if it's dry, it's also. But Tur Sfila Shein is addictive. The Tur holds it's not a proper inference. Shas Naki Dabashil Matzah and Beyond. The Shas what's about a prevalent case on Yontif. Kamalaso Shpulitz close. Prevalent case is to make a skewer, to roast. But I think this is a shadvan, but that would be true for other usages as well. Tesva. V'dibi Rabbi Seim B'yan Zayin Nem V'vani Rabbi Seim Bali Shulchan Aruch B'yan Zayin Nem V'vani Klau. The words of the Mechaber Ramah are not clear at all. Rabbi Rabbi said, "See if you come across Ein Sovereign Secretary V'lo Sels Bakas Akan L'Shono." Said you can support a pot or a door with a block of wood. So that's not Adorim. He left this very unclear. But Priyash Khan didn't say in Bakas Lachri Beis it's about a moist block or dry block. Because Rabbi Ramah V'mutat Litzlosbo. The Ramah says, but you're allowed to roast with it. Because Mutat Sigbo Him Shar Eitzim. And so you're allowed to use it as fuel with other wood. Even though it's not suitable to be used as fuel by itself. From that which it says you're allowed to roast with it. Let's talk about dry piece. Because by moist piece, the Gemara itself says it's also. It's a Rambam. Well, in that case, going to the Rambam. That's the case. But why would you say you're allowed to make a fire with it with other wood? Even though it's not suitable in and of itself, zel balach. In that case, talking about moist wood, which is suitable for a large fire. So that's what kind of tricks we talk about dry wood or moist wood. Both on Maskana so Shas each time the Voreli that's a good. So it's a conclusion of the Gemara that this logic of being suitable for a big bonfire is not used during Melacha. The Mishnah Berurah says you have to know that to use the wood as a skewer on Yontif is only okay if you don't have to fix it in some way. But to fix it on Yontif to make it proper to use the skewer, it's also. Okay. So Arukh HaShulchan says, let's explain based on the Ran. Also, the conclusion, you're allowed to put a moist wood into a large hot fire. It's also. But to use it for a skewer, moist wood, is also. Because it's not suitable for fuel in and of itself. Ayin Sham. This is what it means to say. Allowed to use it to roast if it's dry wood. You're certainly allowed to use it as fuel if it's moist with other wood. So that's considered more lenient, a more easy thing to be matir. According to the sheet of the Rambam, even dry wood is also for any usage. Nevertheless, they permitted you to use it to roast. You certainly use it for the fire itself. When it's suitable with other wood. The bracket he says here without the Rashi because the other pasuk of the Shas lach osir, that which the paskins that if it's moist it's osir. Says Rashi the zel man the isay muktzah according to the opinion holds a muktzah. That holds muktzah. On the kamak of Shimon Mutzah we hold like Shimon that it's permissible. Therefore moist would not be muktzah. But Taisus Tochu said. Taisus rejected it. He says I feel Rabbi Shimon also Shem Roy Lasok. Rabbi Shimon's forbidden if you can't use it for fuel. Mishnah Berurah passing the way as well, like the Taisus. And the Beis Meir writes that however, Shas Chak, you can rely on Rashi to use a dry block of wood. But the Arukh HaShulchan says why it's Taisus Machmir because he holds the Zel calculates on Avonim Mitzros that the moist wood is like stones and pebbles. For Rosh Hashanah Rabbeinu Tam Pirish Gzeira Yontav Atu Shabbos. The Rosh Rabbeinu's name Rabbeinu Tam says it's a Gzeira not to use on Yontav because it might come used on Shabbos. Kamzesh Radloi Nu Eitzim Elo La Soka, and that which we say according that which it says that wood is only used for fuel. Haviganke Mehach Taima. It's also let's use start. I'm not sure what reason he's referring to. Perhaps he's saying that because of muktzah. and therefore, if you don't have muktzah, what are your problem? I guess what he's saying. Test 9. You can't use new pottery, clay pottery, unless you boil them up initially for putting on them. Because the first cooking strengthens them. That's what finishes their production. Yesh chokim, those who argue that they bishu machol enak dem mischazek. Say by cooking, it doesn't get stronger. Now levadze koso paiskim, but besides that paiskim say zel b'ktev sholahem. That's by their pots. Shaloi nigmar b'shleim says yotze weren't complete when they were by the potter. Avashon nigmar b'shleim, so ours are completed by the potter. But ain't tzurchim chizuk lav, they don't have to be strengthened at all. Zesh chas rabbeinu b'sesim si dav zel l'shonim. As the b'sesim writes, we don't mutzah b'ashim b'ktev chadash beyond the world. We permit the cooking in new pots on Yosef. I got shown up a time questions on the reasons like I wrote. Rama says, nevertheless, yesh osrim, that for people forbid to use pottery pots for the first time on Yosef. And that's a minute to refrain unless there's extenuating circumstances. The custom when people buy new pots, the Pesach, you cook them for Yotam, Akon Shona, and cook them Ramah. After Pesach, but not specifically by Pesach, Nation Pesach, Bechred, Knos Kadoshos. Since on Pesach, we have to buy new pots. They used to chametz to the prohibition of chametz. But really, it's true about every Yotam. Yesh Mishchal ben Cheres, glazed, those are distinguished between body which is glazed. Does some material chizuk when it's kazku. So they're ready, strengthen is a better word for that. It's not coming up with it right now. Shane glazed and those which are not glazed, because they need to be strengthened. So the Mishabura says that well, Norach John says, Arzel vaday dim lo b'shabem b'kayonter ka'en lo k'derech eretz mutar l'vashabo. If you don't have any other pot, you can use this this new pot. I guess it's just a chumrah not to use it. Among our women today, there are those who don't use new pottery pots on Yontif. Mishabura says that obviously the glazed ones you can chatchila without any issue. Yudzayin dashesh v'ayim b'yantiv shalacham yisiru sheyiz yizaru b'asiyas v'ayim elu shula soson. The Chachamim said on Yontif, be careful not to do them. Kamo ol v'avibinyan, such as putting a tent, which is construction. Even though it's temporary building, come gamzel, so beyond the Shabbos. This is also have to be on Shabbos. And these are some of them. Or they all of them. So when you make a bonfire, people put a lot of wood arranged one on top of the other. On four sides. And they put wood on top. So it's like a roof. Those came beyond, and now do this another mission here, because it looks like construction. Mr. Wood says if the sides are already prepared for before Yontif, so then you're allowed to put on the top on Yontif. El Ono says in beer booth, says, however, either if you don't, I assume you start from scratch, either put the wood in a jumble or machinery. They do with a shinui. Ketzad, how so? It's a first hang one in midair and then put another piece of wood underneath it. Takas the sheni mashlishi under the second and the third. Achmagil so you get to the ground. Also, when you put a pot on 4 stones, as they did, don't put on first the stones down, then the pot. You hold the pot, and you put the stones underneath it. Also in their bed, they used to put down the legs and put the bed, the boards on top of them. You shouldn't do this. If the legs also have have walls to them. El yochas akroshim rather hold the boards. Yachnis are going to put the legs underneath them. Feel baits and shemisajin zozo and even eggs if you arrange them one on top of the other. Shura gabe shura. Row on top of row. Shem dukum amidas. They should stand like a tower. Nochon shalasos can be understood. Not doing something else. El yasa shinoi. And you should make a change. Dafka. V'yaskim l'malamata and build the egg tower from the top down. I've got together who dafka should tzorich lavir tachtov. Even though the definition of oil is only when you need the airspace underneath. Kosav nusham, as you wrote there, and shintas vav. Hacha bekula tzorich lavir tachtov. Here in all, you need the air underneath. Beitzing there on the tachtem with the wood and the pot in order to make the fire, make the fire underneath them. V'mita with the bed on the I mean only tachtem, put the shoes underneath it. Beitzing gamken and also by eggs shemesim eish tachas abiron. When you cook them by putting a fire underneath them, it's also in order to roast them. So all these things require a shinui. So to have a table with legs with walls which go down to the ground. So shinui, you need to make a shinui. Muto shiv shulchano shalonu shulchan shalanu araglav and a shumbinya. But you could put a table of one of our tables on its feet, on its legs, and that's a binyan. Yes, and some people say I feel magir loretz. Even it goes all the way down to the ground. Close my train to you don't need the airspace underneath. Shari, it's misla akam l'shono. I quote from the wrong. You don't need the airspace underneath. No mikreoa. It's not cool. No, much love the sham. And it's what two b'shem tastes. So I say the tastes the rashba. I ain't sham. The zed the brain of Moshe mechitz the gilar. It's that what you say the walls that reach the ground. If the pockets mishlosh some glory tabi kolod loved. Some say even it's within 3 on the ground. That's already loved and connected, and that would also be consider that as the panos magias loretz. Yes, some say lormi love with lahachmir. Don't say don't lose. You don't say love with the machmir. In this case, it would be chumrah. Elaga only where it's a leniency. Brackets here says Ramah Dark Emotion. We have Ron Skikon that's Richla Chiach. Oh, that's the Ramah Dark Emotion. We're going to have Ram spends time proving the Armenian lumber love lachmir. Reduce the relative machmir ayin shum. See there. Mishnah says. Yishmi Machmir like the opinion that if it's within love, if it's as if it extends to the ground.